to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up.
What is going on, everybody? And welcome to another edition of Boone at McEwen's Thirsty Thursdays. I'm your host this evening, John Kaplan. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening on so we can continue to support and promote our USF baseball team. We've got a tasty show ready for you today, so let's get to sipping. Round one, I wanted to go ahead and cover the Bethune Cookman midweek matchup. I was in attendance at that game yesterday. It was an interesting one to start because through 4 2/3 innings, we were getting no hit by freshman Joel Core out of Orlando, Florida. This kid was ranked as the number 25 prospect by Perfect Game and actually the number 4 prospect out of at the catching position, interestingly enough, out of Puerto Rico. His final stat line last night was 6 1/3, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 2 earned on the night. But as previously mentioned, he did carry a no-hitter into the 5th until with 2 outs, Marcus Brodeel broke it up with a backside single down the left field line. We did try to advance going 1st to 3rd because there was a runner on via walk. And he did end up, we ended the inning on the base pass by getting thrown out at 3rd, but the no was broken up by Brody, which actually helped extend his hitting streak to a career best 10 games for Marcus Brodeel. I really love the bounce back season that he's having for us this year, and with the injuries that we've had to our lineup, it's been really crucial, and I've really enjoyed watching him play. So the Bethune Cookman ended up carrying that 1-0 lead all the way into the 7th inning, with only 3 Bulls having reached base through the first 6. That was until El Juanito, John Montez, opened the 7th inning with a leadoff single, which helped extend his on-base streak to 15 straight games. And this was followed up shortly thereafter by an absolute moonshot to right by Jackson Mayo to take a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th. And I just got word that Mayo's home run just landed. So good to know that. And also staying white hot was Matt Rose in the same inning with a 2-out RBI double to extend the lead to 3-1. The Bulls never really looked back from there. We ended up winning the game overall, 4-1. I was really impressed with Bethune Cookman's pitching. To be honest, they had the starter Joel Core really impressed me. He lived around the zone. He was sitting 88 to 90, had control of 3 pitches, and the reliever that they brought in after him, he was hitting 94, 95 on the gun. So they have an overall record of, I believe, 17-13 when they were coming into this matchup. So that I was also unaware of. They are a very competitive baseball team and obviously should not be taken lightly. The story of the night, however, was Don Madonna with his best showing as a Bull. He went 8 strong, giving up only 6 hits, 1 earned, striking out 8 and only walking 1. This was a career high for him in strikeouts, and he was absolutely electric. His slider had bite, his fastball was still not quite up to his top range velo wise, but he definitely had some zips. He wasn't getting any help from the home plate umpire, old Kevy boy, but we got around it eventually. Definitely a quality start for Don Madonna, and one that is going to be um, taken into account heavily in terms of figuring out that weekend rotation moving forward, I would think. Um, after those 8 innings, Riley's team was able to come in and close out the game by striking out the side in the ninth while tiptoeing around two early base runners to start that frame. Overall, it was a great matchup, which brings us to round two. Who's thirsty? I'm still thirsty. So we've got Tulane this weekend. Our boys are traveling to New Orleans, where Billy Mole returns to his alma mater, where he completed his Tulane career ranked tied for fourth in school history in games started at 44, fifth in winning percentage, sixth in innings pitched, eighth in total appearances, and also tied for eighth in wins. Another interesting note for old Billy Boy, as a senior in 2006, he became just the second regular starter in school history to have an undefeated season. It is very clear to see how USF became the arm farm we are today, as this guy plain just knows pitching. Tulane is managed by second-year head coach Jay Ullman. In his first year at the helm, they finished second to last in the conference with a 19-42 overall record, 8-16 in conference. Their regular season performance left a lot to be desired, only for them to make a legendary run in the conference tournament, bringing home the title and making them the worst team in history based on overall record to make an NCAA regional. In a lineup bringing in 15 transfers this season, this offense is going to run through their two key returners, first being Brady Margette, the first baseman, and also the preseason AAC Player of the Year pick, center fielder Teo Banks, which he's really starting to come into form, but he definitely had a slower start to the season. So we're going to want to keep a close eye on those two from an offensive standpoint. Staying on the same avenue, they lead the American in slugging percentage at 489, as well as leading the American in home runs with 51. They're still quite swing happy as a unit, and they're not very active on the base paths. If our starting rotation can continue their recent successes, living around the zone and limiting their free passes, we should be able to manage this matchup quite effectively. From a defensive standpoint, they do not do well controlling runners on the base path, allowing the second highest stolen base conversion rate at nearly 85%. This could prove to be a crucial stat, as USF is proving to be the most aggressive team in the American in that regard, with 81 attempts on the season, converting at nearly a 75% rate. Lastly, Tulane's team ERA is slightly below average at 5.05, posting a FIP of 4.95. The conference average ERA, team ERA is around 5.25. So when I say they're slightly above average, I mean they're a little bit better than average. They don't have the most electric arms in the conference that we're going to face. However, they do limit preventable errors, and they throw a lot of strikes. So while it will be important for us to see pitches in this road series, I do think that a continued aggressive approach from an offensive standpoint will be crucial to secure a Series W this weekend in NOLA. Moving on to round three, brings us to the state of the Bulls. USF is heading to New Orleans, riding a 4-game winning streak, going 4-0 on their most recent homestand, improving their record to 15-6 at the Red this season. This also marks their fourth 4-game winning streak of the season, which is really impressive. They're tied for second in the AAC by record. However, they are alone in second place based on RPI standings, which USF has jumped over 30 spots in the last week with the sweep of Wichita State and recent win over Bethune Cookman. They're second in the conference based on RPI, behind ECU and just in front of UTSA. So with that in mind, how do the Bulls stack up against the rest of the conference? You know, there's been a lot of chatter about the Bulls' overall performance this season on the interwebs, and I've got my own opinions on those, and I'll keep those personal. But what I do want to focus on is the facts, and the facts is that we're first in the American in OPS, posting an 889 OPS. We're second in the American with a 298 team average. We're third in the AAC with 38 home runs on the year. So the facts are offensively, we are top 5 in almost every category. And as stated above, top 3 in some of the major ones. Where we're leaving some meat left on the bone, per se, is from a pitching standpoint. We're 7th in the AAC in team ERA at 5.76. We're 6th in the American in opposing batting average, allowing 266 batting average to opponents. We're also 6th in the AAC with strikeout to walk ratio at 269 to 137. All of these numbers can be improved upon. And I do think that the team ERA is not exactly, the numbers don't quite paint the picture because we have had a hard time, figuring out who our Sunday starter is going to be, and whether it was from a botched start or, making bullpen appearances and giving up some runs via bullpen outing, that can inflate the ERA. And I do look for that number to come down a great deal as we move towards the second half of the season. Next, I want to talk about our bullpen. I really want to kind of start seeing us nail down a rotation in our bullpen. So I figured let's do a bullpen power rank here. I just off the top, I'm going to bring up 6 names, and I'll give you my opinion on how they stack up, and without going too in depth into numbers. And I think this could generate some good talking points moving forward. Maybe we can post a poll on Twitter for y'all to give us some feedback on what you guys think. So the names I'm going to mention are just players that have caught my eye out of the pen that I think are going to be crucial for us to make a deep run into the conference tournament and hopefully the NCAA tournament at the end of the season. They are Riley Steen, Chandler Dorsey, Kyle Scrape, Joey Vellini, Nick Pineda, and Austin Newton in no specific order. Certain names I left out because they have been floating back and forth between starter and bullpen role, like freshman Logan Beavis. He's shown flashes of greatness, and also Bryce Archie has had some starts as well as bullpen outings. So I did not factor them into the power rankings as they've kind of been a mixed bag in terms of their role for the pitching staff this year. In my opinion, I'm going to have to say number 1 is probably Kyle Scrape, in my opinion. He has been extremely electric for us this season and has saved us from many sticky situations against some quality opponents this season. He's a left-handed transfer that's new to the Bulls this season, but in my opinion, has been probably the most consistently good arm out of our bullpen. He doesn't have quite as many appearances as some of the other names on the list, but I don't know if he's dealing with some sort of nagging injury or what it is, but he does have a 2.0 ERA this season with a 14-4 strikeout to walk ratio, and he's holding opponents to a 188 batting average. Those numbers are incredible. I'm actually going to switch it up and say that Kyle Scrape is number 2. Number 1, I'm going to have to give to Riley Steen. And here's why. Riley Steen has only allowed 2 earned runs on the season. He's posted a 1.54 ERA over 11.2 innings pitched, or 11 and 2/3 innings pitched, with a 14-5 strikeout to walk ratio over that time. And he now has, after last night, he now has 4 straight appearances without allowing an earned run. And over those 4 appearances, it's been 7 innings, 6 hits, 10 Ks, and 2 walks. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to have to give it to our closer, Chandler Dorsey. He's been really, really good for us this season. I believe he's got 16 appearances thus far on the season and has posted a 4.96 ERA. He's had a couple outings where he got touched up, but he has pitched 16 1/3 innings and has struck out 27 batters, only walking 8. He's got plus velo and is just really, really holding his own at the back end of our bullpen and is an anchor for us and will be crucial come tournament time. Rounding out the last 3 of Bellini, Pineda, and Newton, I'm going to have to go number 4, being Joey Bellini. He was injured last season. We all knew that he was going to be huge for us out of the bullpen this year, because before Kyle Scrape transferred, he was really one of, if not the only, left-handed reliever that we were going to be featuring out of our bullpen. He's really crafty. He's got a high baseball IQ. He lives on the blacks, and he can pitch effectively both conventionally, and he also can pitch backwards. He keeps batters on their toes, keeps them off balance, and in my opinion, that makes Joey Bellini good for number 4. Number 5, I'm going to have to go with Big Newt. His numbers aren't better than Pineda's per se. His last 3 appearances have been a little bit shaky, so I have heard via the grapevine, however you want to call it, that there's been some lingering nagging issues that just come along with a 5-month season, playing year round. I mean, our bodies aren't meant to withhold that kind of damage. So I think it's just normal wear and tear as to why we're not seeing some of the same names of late. But I'm gonna go with Austin Newton at number 5. I've been on this kid's bandwagon since the get. On the season, he does have a little bit of an inflated ERA at 7.5. However, his WHIP is 1.42. He's got 12 appearances on the season, and over those 12 innings, he has struck out 14 batters and only walked 6. And he's got plus velo. He's been gifted with a man suit from God, and he's got a curveball that'll make your knees buckle. And lastly, and when I say lastly, I didn't include all the bullpen pitchers on this. These are my top names that are shoring up our power rankings for our bullpen. It was a surprise for me. Nick Pineda, he didn't make an appearance until later in the season, but he's really, really taken advantage of the opportunities that he's been given. He's only got 6 appearances on the season, but in those appearances, he's posted a 3.68 ERA over 7 1/3 innings pitched, striking out 6 and only walking 2. Moving on from the just to review Cappy's bullpen rankings or power rankings. I'm going to have to say number 1 is Riley Steen, number 2 Kyle Scrape, number 3 Chandler Dorsey, number 4 Joey Bellini, number 5 Big Newt, and rounding off is Nick Pineda. Let me know what y'all think about that, and we can make this like a weekly deal. Just to update on some more state of the Bulls, injury updates for two key cogs on our offense, Bobby Bozer and Rafi Betancourt. Bozer still has not been cleared to swing versus Tulane this weekend. So if we see him at all, it'll be like similar times past in like a pinch running capacity. But I do believe he's going to travel with the team. And Rafi Betancourt does have an outside chance to see some game action. These two guys returning to our lineup is instrumental and long overdue. I'm really proud of how we've fought and how we've prevailed through this adversity because, you know, in years past, it's been like really deflating, some of these injuries. And it's really been, you've really heard the monster carry the boat, you know, prevail. You've seen it prevail too, because it's really been a next man up mentality. And it's a mentality that I'm proud to speak on because it really fires me up seeing how this team just continues to pick one another up. And no matter who steps in the box, it feels like we have a chance every single game, you know, and this team is extremely entertaining to watch. Let's do a little player shout out. Firstly, I'm going to say we're defeating Ops via the OPS. See what I did there? As mentioned earlier, USF is leading the conference in OPS at 889. And we have 5 players, eligible players, that is, with an OPS over 1,000. And the top 5 are Juanito John Montes at 1.090. Marcus Bodil behind him. Bobby Bozer, Drew Butcher, and Stuart Puckett rounding off the top 5 with OPS. All 5 of them posting an OPS over 1,000. It's really good to see. We're not even at the top of the conference in home runs, so that just means, you know, we're doing a really good job spreading the field and hitting the gaps and getting extra base hits and hitting for power without leaving the yard, you know. In years past, it seems like we played a lot of hero ball where everyone's trying to hit the walk-off home run, you know, but you're not seeing that this year. It's much more team-oriented, much more aggressive approach on the base pass, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing in terms of our OPS and our slugging from our main offensive contributors this season. I want to give another shout-out to Riley Skeen. As mentioned earlier, the 4 straight appearances without allowing an earned run and only allowing 2 earned runs on the season, 1.5 ERA. That's what put him at the top of my bullpen power rankings, and I want to tip my hat to him again because he's been absolutely electric. Lastly, I want to give a big shout out to Matt Rose. He had a slow start to the season. He's listed as a middle infielder, but he's kind of had to play a lot of. He's played a few different positions this season, filling in for injury, and he's done so honorably. Speaking of honors, he made the American Athletic Conference honor roll last week, and over the last 8 games, he's batting .458 and .295 on the season. He's definitely taken advantage of the opportunity given to him due to injuries to some of the key starters like Bozer and Betancourt in the infield, and he's going to look to continue that hot streak this weekend in NOLA. I'm really looking forward to that series, and I really do think that we have a chance to come home with a W, and that's going to lead us into another 8-game homestand where we have a midweek against Florida Gulf Coast, which hopefully we can get revenge on them after the walk-off road loss we endured a few weeks ago, as well as a weekend series against Rice and another weekend series against FAU and a midweek against Stetson. I would like to see Don Madonna get his revenge against Stetson, but I don't know if he will be etched into the Sunday roll starter at that point or not. And then we head to ECU. We have another midweek, and then we face UTSA after that. So we're really going to have to take advantage of these next 11 games here because our toughest stretch of the season is yet to come. We're also the third best mid-major conference, only behind the Sun Belt and the Big East. And out of the 30 conferences in college baseball, ours is eighth best in the nation. That's huge. And I think we all here at Bruin knew that was going to happen with some of the additions that we had. Although they're not playing too well, Rice is a perennial baseball contender. Charlotte is a very good baseball school, and also UTSA. Sorry if I left anybody out, but with the level of competition increasing and our performance only improving, we're getting healthier on both sides of the ball. I really think that the end of the season could be a really fun one, and it's a stretch that I'm really looking forward to. So with that, I'm going to bring that to the last call here. Everybody close out your tabs. Be sure to tip your bartenders. And also tune in next week as when the Bulls come home from New Orleans, we will all be on the pod together. I think we're recording on Monday, where we're going to have Coach Billy Mole on the podcast. I repeat, Coach Billy Mole will be on our pod next Monday, so be sure and tune into that. We will be sure to remind you on Twitter and all the avenues that we post on. I do thank you for tuning in to another Thirsty Thursday. Brewing at McEwen Productions. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. As always, horns up and go Bulls.